The man who's really led and galvanized the GOP's efforts to rally behind Judge Kavanaugh is Lindsey Graham. And 1 week after his fiery call to arms, and I loved it, the senator is feeling more confident than ever after reading the FBI report on Kavanaugh. Senator Graham joins us now to talk about that and what's next. Senator, thanks so much for being here tonight. What other games can we expect from the Democrats before this thing goes to the final vote?
Think of the dumbest idea, and they'll do it, whatever that is. If they ever write a book about overplaying your hand in politics, this is in the first chapter. The FBI report, supplemental background check, they interviewed 9 people. They followed the direction of the 3 senators who asked for more FBI investigation. It came back very good for Judge Kavanaugh, and I would expect these 3 senators will vote yes. I hope they will, because that's what they asked for.
The complaint from the left, there are a lot of them. And we have a few senators, a few of your friends and others who comment today. Let's watch.
It's obviously a cover-up. The Trump White House, working with the Republican leadership in the Senate, have deliberately circumscribed this investigation. They're making a mockery of the constitutional requirement that the Senate provide its advice and consent.
That report, if that's an investigation, is a bull investigation. The reality is that is not a full and thorough investigation.
It's not full. It's not thorough. They didn't interview Kavanaugh, Ford, or Deborah Ramirez's second cousin twice removed.
To my good friends, this is advise and consent. This is your view of the Senate's role, is to take a good man's life, turn it upside down, betray Dr. Ford's trust, do everything in the world to destroy him, to hold the seat open past the midterms. That's not advise and consent. That's despicable. It's going to blow up in your face. I hope it does, because it was wrong. He's going to get on the court. They have no idea what the FBI supplemental investigation was about. They made up their mind to vote no before anybody said hello. So here's what the 3 senators asked for. That the people named by Dr. Ford be interviewed by the FBI, just not the committee, and Ms. Ramirez be interviewed by the FBI. That was done, plus 5 other witnesses. The results are in. Senator Collins and Senator Flake said they thought it was thorough, they thought it was fair, and these 2 people, who are my friends, have no idea what they're talking about. And let me tell to my friend Bob, what y'all have done is bull.
Senator Schumer talked about the emotion that drove Christine Ford and the country rallying behind her, and it seems like he's taken this into kind of a midterm pose. Let's watch.
Yeah.
Dr. Ford came forward and won America's hearts. And our Republican colleagues were upset because that might derail their headlong rush to put Judge Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court.
Your headlong rush, you're rushing this because you want to get it through as fast as possible. Could be more of an investigation.
Right.
But this was emotionally based. Yeah. And you saw those protesters today on Capitol Hill. Lots of women. They took over the Hart Office building for I don't know how long. But, I mean, they promised that they're going to keep doing this, Senator Graham. They're going to keep hassling you guys in elevators and cornering you in the halls. And the protest culture, which I talked about at the beginning of the show, is going to continue.
Well, it won't work with me. I think my colleagues feel offended. As to Senator Schumer, I've never been more disappointed in you and your party. You're the ones that knew about Dr. Ford's accusations in July. She requested to remain anonymous. It was somebody on your side who leaked it to the press for a political purpose. Somebody, her own lawyers who were advised to be appointed by Senator FEINSTEIN, the most politically active person on the left, apparently never told Dr. Ford that we had gone to California to avoid her any embarrassment. Please don't use and abuse this woman anymore. Her accusations have not been corroborated. Time, place, location, we don't know any more now than we did before. The people she named says they don't know what she's talking about. So it really offends me that Senator Schumer would continue to abuse Dr. Ford. They're the ones who are playing politics. I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan, never thought twice about it, but I'll tell you right now, this is the defining moment in the 2018 election. This is unfair.
Let's talk about repercussions for what happened.
Okay.
Either the filing of false affidavits,
right,
if that can be proved, possible, obviously, civil case defamation. But what back to this leaking issue, which we talked about on the show tonight before your appearance. It seems like someone's not telling the truth here about what happened on the Senate side.
Sure.
Do you believe what Dianne Feinstein said when she said, well, I didn't ask anyone, then she turned around and said, well, oh, no, they tell me I did ask them. And no one on my staff leaked this. Do you believe that?
Well, I believe Dianne Feinstein didn't leak it, but I don't know about her staff. I do know this. Her staff recommended to Dr. Ford Ms. Katz, who hates Trump, as a politically active leftist lawyer. And apparently Dr. Ford was not told by our legal team our committee would have gone to California to do this in private. I know somebody on their side leaked an anonymous letter without a postmark.
But why not get secure their emails and texts? Leaking confidential information. You're going to do that tonight?
Here's what I'm going to do. Anybody who did this is going to pay a price. The people who exposed my name, Senator Lee, Senator Hatch, that person's going to pay a price. My goal, if I'm the chairman of this committee, is to make sure it never happens again. And the best way to make sure it never happens again is to punish those who did it.
What lesson do you think the president should take out of all of this? I mean, this was a moment where the party finally, in my mind, got unified behind what this president wants to do. Economy's on fire, great judges, NAFTA renegotiated. What's next?
The president should take the following. If you appoint a good person who gets destroyed in a despicable manner and you fight for him, people will like you more. Whether you're a Trump Republican, a Bush Republican, libertarian or vegetarian Republican, we're all together now thanks to this despicable attack on a good man. Here's what I want the president to know. Do the right thing and fight for it, and you'll get rewarded. Kavanaugh's going to be on the bench. And those who tried to destroy him are going to be looked at, and they're going to pay a price. And I think this is going to help us in the midterms. I hate that this is what it took to help Republicans. But to the other side, you made the biggest mistake of your life. To the 3 Republicans, you're all friends of mine. If you were yes before this debacle, please be yes now, because everything they've said about him, Judge Kavanaugh, has fallen apart. He's a good man. 7 FBI investigations, 156 people interviewed over a 26-year period. All this stuff is garbage.
But you were a House impeachment manager back in 1998. I remember it well. Yeah. And Democrats are pledging, some, that if they take the House, they could very well move to impeach Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, getting him convicted in the Senate would be very difficult to do. Do you expect that to happen if Republicans lose the House and keep this saga going?
I think the Democratic Party's been taken over by irrationality. Hatred is their only platform. It's not about what they like, it's who they hate. And I can't believe in America you have to prove yourself innocent, that you're guilty just by the accusation, that there's no requirement to cooperate because you're Republican. If a Democratic male nominee were treated by the Republicans as Kavanaugh was treated by the Democrats, every media outlet in the country would be up in arms.
Manchin, real quick, will he vote yes or no on Kavanaugh?
If he listens to the people of West Virginia, he will. Brett deserves your vote, Joe. He's my friend. I've known him for a long time. If you listen to Schumer, then the people of West Virginia are going to remember it.
Lindsey Graham, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it tonight.